it truly is one of Australia's greatest wines, if not the greatest. You can make an argument. You know, they call it Australia's Montrachet.
Is this Australia's greatest Cabernet? I think so.
That is okay.
So good.
That's my best experience with that wine.
Yeah? This is not the Taylor Swift of Australian wine. This is certainly more the Led Zeppelin. It's not over the top to say that this is one of the rarest and most historic wines on the planet.
G'day wine lovers from wherever you are around Australia and the whole world. Tom and Wade here from Different Drop with the greatest wine tasting in the history of wine tastings today. Forget the Judgment of Paris 1976. Forget DRC verticals. Forget that time I tasted all the greatest Bordeaux and put a little scrunched up bit of Lafite in a water bottle down my pants to take that. Yeah. Forget anything else you've ever done or seen before. This is the tasting that I could not be more excited about. Wade, tell the lovely people what we're doing today.
Okay, today we are tasting the 6 most iconic wines in Australia. 6 of the best single vineyard wines with the greatest reputations, the most hard to get, the best of the best basically. This is like the very top echelon of Australian wine, all in one tasting.
The icons, the monuments.
The monuments.
The stars. We had a lot of fun just actually putting this list together. Yes. And there's a lot more than 6 wines. Like there's a lot of wines that we could have included in this. Yep. But we've really tried to focus on 6 of the greatest single vineyard wines that we think reflect amazing, unique places in Australian wine.
Great family producers, unique vineyards, great stories.
Mate, and just the most incredible lineup of wine. So the way we did this,
so good too.
The way we did this is we kind of rock, paper, scissors. I chose the whites.
Yep.
Wade, you've chosen the reds.
And I've chosen the reds.
We know what each other picked.
Yep.
So we've done that because I just couldn't bear the surprise.
Yep.
But you obviously don't know what we picked, and we're excited to reveal. So, mate, should we reveal to the wonderful people watching this what the 6 greatest wines in the history of the universe are?
Sure. Well, you're leading off. You're doing the whites.
Oh, yeah, I am too. Yeah, sure. All right. So, wine numero uno is, of course, the Grosset Polish Hill River Riesling from the one and only Jeffrey Grosset, 2024 vintage. The highest ever rated vintage of this wine on Winefront and Wine Companion, and also the one that we happen to have in our shed. They're different shops, so...
It's really hard to get an old bottle of Grosset.
It really is.
Yeah.
We didn't try particularly hard.
No,
but and this was right here. Yeah. But it's delicious, and I love this wine in its youth. So, mate, let's do this. Firstly, Riesling. I think we're always going to include a Riesling in this lineup. Are you satisfied with the choice?
Yeah, I think, there's probably 5 big names in Australian Riesling. And
very specific.
If you're talking specific wines and producers, I'd say there's 5. I'm not going to name them just in case I annoy someone. But Jeffrey Grosset is on every one of those lists every time. Yeah. Really is kind of like the man who gear shifted Riesling in Australia into an entirely new stratosphere.
What a pioneer. Like, I mean, didn't come from a Riesling, didn't come from a winemaking family. But he was interested in wine and farming. He studied at Roseworthy like so many great winemakers did. Made wines at Seppeltsfield, Great Western, obviously very well known for Riesling there as well. Travelled abroad, went to Germany, just fell in love with Riesling and came back to the Clare where he felt there was an opportunity to make world-class Riesling. He started Grosset back in the early 1980s, 81, 82. Around there. He was buying fruit originally and predominantly from the Watervale sub-region. So when you think of the Clare Valley, there's different sub-regions. Watervale was the early wines came from there. Similar altitude to this Polish Hill appellation. Different soils though, more clay, more loam. So the wines tend to be a bit more generous, a bit more floral. Jeff pinpointed an opportunity though to go into Polish Hill, where it's a much rockier, harder terrain. You've got silt and shale over blue slate, which is of course much more reminiscent of like Moselle and these places. And the harsher, harder, rockier terrain leads to smaller berries. It leads to less water retention.
Yep.
So drier conditions, more intense small berries, more intense flavors, more intense structure, more minerality.
Definitely.
So less showy in its youth. But develops beautifully. So he bought this block in about 95 and 96.
Yeah, I think it's 96 he plants it, I think.
Yeah, thereabouts, and then released this wine. And in the early days, people weren't sure about Grosset Polish Hill because it didn't show that much when it was young compared to the Watervale wines, which were much more opulent and flirty. But over the years, he's become a superstar with this wine. He's also been a pioneer for viticulture.
Definitely.
Jeff's focus has always been about farming. That was what really attracted me to Jeff and his wines in the early days, was how he spoke about farming.
Yep.
He's certified organic and biodynamic, and he's one of the first in the region and probably Australia to do that. And you just see this wonderful purity in every bottle of wine he releases.
And I think everyone who's ever written anything about Jeffrey Grosset always mentions purity, intention, and focus. Like, his winemaking isn't, like, it's a constant refinement and like tweaking the screws like a millimeter at a time. He's not like tricking things up, like throwing oak at Riesling or playing with skins or anything. It's about like trying to zero in on the purest, most focused version of these two vineyards that he just adores.
Yeah.
And he spends all day out there like meticulously.
Yeah, they're still a tiny team. They've only got like 6 or 8 people in the entire business, which, considering its prestige on the world stage now, is amazing. This wine has beaten out many of Germany and North America's finest Rieslings in blind tastings at a fraction of the price. When you think about this being Australia's benchmark Riesling,
it's like the GG of Aussie Riesling.
So that's be under $100 retail still, and it sells out each year. So
so it's not cheap, but on a global context, it punches well above its weight.
100%. Right. And it's helped put the Clare Valley, but Australian wine, on the map. So is wines like this.
So this 24 is an absolute belter. Yes, it was what's in the shed, but it also happens to be like one of the best vintages in the entire 20-plus year history of this wine. Near perfect season, long and cool. It'll go down as one of the best vintages for just Clare Valley Riesling in general in the last sort of 20 or 30 years. This thing basically will live as long as you want it to. It's so fine, it's so mineral. It's got this beautiful chalky element to it this year because there's lots of fruit weight, but it's still really fine and precise.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have that big overt lemon limey thing you get. Like, it's a much more mineral, like floral, jasmine,
you mentioned
white flowers.
You mentioned like Germanic.
Yeah.
Like, this is bone dry, but it, like, texturally, it doesn't feel like the really hardcore, hard-edged acid that you can sometimes get in the Clare. There's a softness and a juiciness about this acid, and it feels like beautifully welded into the wine as a young wine.
It's a belter, isn't it?
It's really bloody good, man.
So we've opened all these up a bit earlier and double decanted everything just to get a bit of air through the wines. And so I could have a cheeky little sneak peek before waiting.
I haven't tasted them yet.
And this looks amazing now with a couple of hours open there. Interesting story with Jeff, and another reason why I chose this wine, aside from it being just an obvious choice, Jeff was actually the first winemaker I ever met.
Was he?
Did you know that?
No.
Like, apart from like some shitty little cellar door tasting.
Yeah.
In the trade, the very first one. So I went to a...
Cool. Yeah. Starting right at the top.
Yeah, I know. My first job in wine retail, and I somehow found myself at a Clare Valley roadshow tasting.
Right.
I would have been there kind of early to mid 2000s. And I met Tim Adams, and I can't remember who else. I remember Tim and I remember Jeff.
Right.
They stood out as two big characters there in the room, and the way he spoke about his wine, he's so articulate and passionate, and just drew me to it straight away. So what a start! And I mean, Australian Riesling, I think wines like this show why it does deserve a place up there with the world's best. Like, we did a tasting recently, with Australia versus Germany in Riesling.
Yep. And who won that? Do you remember who won that? Was that?
I've actually forgotten. Australia won. For value though. And we said then, and we'll say it again now, that the very, very top German Rieslings are something that we can't imitate here in Australia.
Yeah.
And nor should we. But we have this place with a different style, with these bone dry styles that live for an incredibly long time, provide so much joy when they're young, so versatile with food, and just remarkable value for money for what they are. And this just encapsulates that perfectly. So the first icon.
One of Australia's, or maybe Australia's best Riesling, and maybe the best vintage in the last 20 years. Pretty good start.
Maybe the best start to a YouTube video.
Nice one. All right.
Wine keep rolling?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, mate, we're off to a flying start. So wine number 2 coming up. Skipping ahead to wine number 3 without revealing its identity, I'm going to give you one clue. It starts with it ends in Chardonnay.
Yes.
All right, so that's a Chardonnay. So the more contentious, the more contentious spot was this wine number 2 because there's so many different places you could go.
Yeah.
You could go to Sauvignon Blanc or a Seppeltsfield blend. Yep. We've got some amazing old Viogniers and Chenin Blancs and things.
Viognier?
Yeah, we've got old Viogniers.
Yeah, we do, I guess. This wine is going to blow us away anyway.
But I think, being the proud and passionate New South Welshman that we are, there was only one choice, and that was, of course, Hunter Valley Semillon, as I like to call it. And if you're going to have a Hunter Valley Semillon, you're going to have a Tyrrell's VAT 1 Semillon.
Yes. Oh, this is the 13th.
13, mate.
The 13th.
13. I didn't tell you that little
Nice.
cheeky detail.
Nice.
The 13.
Where's the blend?
Hey?
This is re-released, is it?
Didn't win the awards the 13, actually.
No. It won a million things, this wine.
No bling. I know it looks a bit weird without the bling on it, doesn't it? Anyway, maybe Chris took offence when we got him to did that video with him about putting all the labels, the gold medal stickers on himself.
Anyway, we were just at Tyrrell's, a month ago or so, checking out the new vintage. So they reckon 25 is going to be an absolute belter, but that's going to be another 5 years away or so until we'll be releasing that. So this 2013, this was a pretty hot, dry year in Hunter, right? So sometimes basically what that means is you're looking at usually belting whites, and sometimes the reds can be a little bit wonky. But this is just a phenomenal
phenomenal vintage.
Yeah.
So I love the stories, the personal anecdotes.
Yes.
Another one with the VAT 1 and Tyrrell's.
Yeah.
So in mine and Wade, before Different Drop, we were selling wine over the phone actually for a period, learning about wine in a call centre. On my first day there, before you started, this is going back to probably 2006, 2007 or something. On my very first day, in walks Bruce Tyrrell, legendary winemaker Bruce Tyrrell, to show us all the new wines before we get on the phones and call them Tyrrell's customers. Right? And Bruce had all these stories about jumping the fence and cuttings from vineyards and how, 1858, 1963, blah, 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 all the history of Tyrrell's. And he brought the VAT 1, but 2 vintages, the newly released 2006 or 2007, whatever it was, and one that was about 10 years old.
Yep.
And to show how this wine ages. And it just absolutely blew my mind and totally sent me down a rabbit hole about, oh my God, this is the 2 same wines from the 2 same vineyards made by the same people, just 10 years apart, and look how different it is. And that's what's amazing about wine and why I fell in love with wine, but specifically with Semillon and what it does more uniquely than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, so Jancis Robinson famously said that, Hunter's Semillon is Australia's gift to the wine world. And this is Australia's most highly decorated white wine. And so basically anytime this wine gets entered in any wine show, it wins. Almost every wine judge can pick it.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they can pick it and everyone goes, oh, well, there's VAT 1. So there's the trophy. And then let's work out the other gold medals. But that's because this wine is so incredibly consistent year on year. Basically, VAT 1 means this is the top fruit selection for the vintage. So when they were doing their VAT sort of classification, when Murray Tyrrell started that, he was like, all right, first point of call, let's start with Semillon. He's like, what's the best Semillon? Bang, that. All right, that's VAT 1. And they've been producing that since 73?
63.
63. Yep.
It's amazing. And a funny story with this 2013. Actually, before I do that, a little bit about the wine. So again, mostly from the Shortfire Vineyard outside the Tyrrell's winery. If you ever visit the cellar door there, you'll see it. It's unoaked. It's very, very simple winemaking. It's a special site. It goes into these big tanks and they tuck it away. They do an early release for their members and then re-release it to the market 5 years or so later. It's really uncomplicated, but just an incredible site.
Yeah.
It's just perfect for Semillon.
Power. Yeah. Power is what VAT 1 is known for all that uncomplicated and picked super early, it'll be 10.5%, 11% alcohol. This says 11.5%, so it is a richer year by VAT 1's standards. But there's so much flavour packed in. And the longevity, look at that. That's still green in the glass, which is absolutely crazy for a 12-year-old white wine with no oak.
So I was speaking to Chris when I said we we're going to do this, and he very kindly, I said, do you have an old vintage that you'd recommend that we look at for this video we're doing? And he said, I'll send you to 2013 and I'll tell you a little bit about that vintage.
Yep.
So Chris was probably earlier days of him being involved in the winemaking. And he said it was a Sunday afternoon. He got a phone call from Andrew Spinaz, who's the long-term winemaker for Tyrrell's. He said, you've got to come down to the winery. And he said, why? So you're just going to come down. It's an emergency. And Chris races down and he goes there and there's people running around everywhere and sweat and yelling and whatever all over the place. And one of the door on the tank of that wine had split.
Oh, shit.
And there was this juice just pouring out. Yeah, no kidding. And so he got the pumps everywhere trying to frantically pump the juice out.
Oh, my God.
To stop the whole thing going down the drain. He said they lost about 3,000 litres.
Oh.
So what's that, a few hundred bottles of cases of wine.
Damn.
A few hundred cases of wine, and they would have lost basically the whole thing up until the height of the door. But they managed to either get it all out or reseal it or something. They're incredible. And it turned out to be one of the most awarded vintages and they'd ever had.
That is panic stations,
Oh,
bro.
my God.
Imagine that. It's like, this is my day off. And someone like blows the door on it. I can bat one tank too. It's not like the shit Semillon from down the road. It's like, it's bat one.
And 2013 as well, I thought, how appropriate. It's the year we started a different drop as well. And so great to look at a wine from that momentous occasion and see what this does with age, which is it just softens out. You get that buttery, honeyed waxiness.
This is just like classic, isn't it? It's like buttered toast, a little bit of lemon drizzle in there. Like it's got like a slight little like lemon tea, like a herbal tea sort of character to it. But the palate is just like round and opulent and just fucking delicious right now. It's drinking really well, but that's like got another 10, 20 years in it. Like that's just, it's going nowhere.
It's in a beautiful spot now, isn't it?
Hey.
Far out. How good is that to drink?
Thank you, CC.
Good on you to the lovely Tyrrell's people. And just, again, we can't speak highly enough of just Hunter Valley Semillon, Semillon, as you uncultured folk like to call it, and just what a remarkable, unique wine this is on the world stage. Nothing else does this. Semillon doesn't look like this anywhere else.
No.
It's just unique to this variety in this place, and there is some magic sprinkled up there in the Hunter Valley. So, all right, mate, we're smashing out the icons.
We are flying.
We're flying. Let's keep going. Come on.
All right.
All right, for my third and final act at tonight's performance, I hinted at the Chardonnay that we might have. A number of great Australian regions we can pour Chardonnay from. I know Wade is a huge fan of Margaret River.
Yes.
Huge fan of Yarra Valley.
Yes.
These days collects Tasmanian Chardonnays.
Yes.
A massive lover of the historic Chardonnay for the Hunter Valley. So I thought we'd go into Beechwood. If you're going to pick out one Australian Chardonnay, you've just got to go look at that.
Giaconda. All right.
2022 Giaconda Chardonnay. You talk about icons of Australian wine. This is the modern icon, isn't it?
It is.
This is the Taylor Swift.
They say if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. This Chardonnay is everything dialed up to 11, basically. So in terms of perfectionism, in terms of volume, in terms of quality,
Volume as in like volume of fruit.
volume of flavor, volume of fruit. It's easily one of our most sought after wines every year. Very lucky if you can snag a bottle of it anyway. Typically sells out on Rick's mailing list within a couple of hours. It's turned into madness, actually, the Giaconda allocation thing. Yeah, it's just like a complete cult frenzy.
It really is, isn't it? So Giaconda, formed in the 1980s by Rick Kinsborough. Rick was actually an engineer. I think those are trained engineer, professional engineer. And anyway, he did a few stints in places like the Napa, learning about Chardonnay, fell in love with Chardonnay there, and identified Beechworth as a place he thought would make great Australian Chardonnay. Interestingly, he didn't test the soils or water retention or anything back then. It was just all instinct on the soils and the ancient decomposed granite that they have there. And he thought he could make somewhere between Burgundy and Napa Valley Chardonnay. And amazingly, I mean, that's what you end up having in these wines. I've always loved Beechworth Chardonnay. For me, the Margaret River, and I love the wines and people at Margaret River. I'll just let you have a moment there. I'll play the video. You just clean yourself up.
So sexy. Oh my God.
But yeah, Margaret River, they're more tropical. Then you go to Yarra, Mornington, Tassie, more austere. To me, Beechworth between Giaconda, Sorenberg, Savater, Castagna, Schmalzer and Brown, Fighting Gully Road, Domenico, Adrian Rodder, on and on and on and on. You get this incredible richness and power and intensity with the cool climate, acid and minerality and freshness. And I just love the wine so much, and Giaconda is right at the top of the tree.
So the real signature of this wine style is it's famous for its like levels of reduction. So if you're not familiar with reduction, think like spent fireworks or like cap guns going off, or like, you know, after you strike a match, that sort of, it's like a sulfury kind of note. Shows up in a lot of like very formidable Burgundy. Shows up in a lot of Australia's top Chardonnays, but Giaconda, it's a real signature. Sometimes it's like so full on, it's like, I got to see you in about 10 years before that's going to settle down. The 22 is beautifully balanced though, hey? Like it's got that signature struck match lift, but there's so much fruit there, and the oak is just beautifully framing this wine, like perfect bordering.
It's just everything's in perfect balance, but at full noise.
Yes.
It's just
It's like listening to Led Zeppelin at like 13. It's like everything's just spot on, but fucking hell, it's pretty rock and roll.
I prefer my Taylor Swift analogy, but that's fun. The beauty
This is not the Taylor Swift of Australian wine. This is certainly more the Led Zeppelin.
I've got a 7-year-old daughter. Everything is Taylor Swift to me. So Giaconda, everything is done by hand. Everything is small. Everything is deliberate. It's just Rick and his son Nathan who do all the work there. They grow the grapes. They make the wine. They sell the wine. If you want to get an allocation in Giaconda, you're hassling Nathan. Hey Nathan, we love you. Thank you, Nathan. A pallet would be good. Thanks, mate. And for, you know, what precious bottles you can get. They're great people, and the wine just has this incredible presence about it. And it truly is one of Australia's greatest wines. If not the greatest, you can make an argument. You know, they call it Australia's Montrachet.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I've never had Montrachet, but I've had Giaconda a couple of times. And every time it has absolutely blown my socks off. And this 22 is no different. That is just, it's just everything you want in an Australian Chardonnay. Because you see the sunshine. Like, it's got so much power and flavour because you can see the sunshine in it.
Well, there is plenty of sun. Like, it's you know, they're central, continental, north central Victoria.
Yeah.
It's hot in the days and sunny, but higher altitude, cool nights.
And the soil. Like, the soil, like, so many people bang on about soil. It's like, what does that translate to? It translates to tension in this wine. When there's so much volume of fruit, it gives you this really slaty, frenetic is the only word for it. Because if you look at Rick's famous barrel room, right, which he blew out of the side of the hill that he's in, like he dynamited it out of there, like it's crazy. But you can see what the rock is that this Chardonnay is growing on, and it's hardcore granite, and you can feel it in the wine, and it's like tense iron fist kind of backbone.
Yeah,
that's all the soil. Fuck, Jesus, it's good, isn't it? Oh my God.
it's so good. It's so good.
Awesome.
Oh my God!
Did we do Giaconda justice? I don't know.
It's kind of...
people who speak better about wine than us should be talking about this wine. Is there Aaron Larkin's video on it? It's like 25 minutes, and she absolutely smashes it. Good job, Aaron.
Aaron's taking notes from our videos. Okay, we love you, Aaron, mate.
So many shout outs in this.
So many shout outs. Well, they're all going to watch, obviously.
Sure.
So no. I think we did it justice, mate. It's an amazing, special part of Australian wine, and I'll be thoroughly enjoying that bottle later on.
What?
Is it?
No, this is a rock, paper, scissors one for sure.
All right, mate. Let's see. I'm curious. I know what reds you brought.
Yep.
But let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Now, on to the reds. So I was sort of driving the ship for red wine selection.
Makes me very nervous.
So I've got three. That I can pick. I didn't go a Pinot Noir. Okay?
So we're none from one. All right, wait.
Because I went with this beauty. This is the best old vine Pinot Meunier.
What makes it the best?
Best Great West.
Sorry, guys. I shouldn't make a best joke. That's terrible.
That is terrible. So, maybe my favorite Australian red wine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shall I pour?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So
I know you're obsessed with this wine, and it's very, very cool. And I remember we got a special bottle sent to you from the wonderful Thompson family at Best for your 30th, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah. Viv came in here, we're tasting all the new wines, and I think you mentioned to him that you're like, Wade's obsessed with the old vine Meunier. And
I'll look after you, mate.
And his 30th birthday is coming up. And Viv sent me a couple of bottles. I've still got one.
Oh, mate.
One bottle of the 1988.
I think you too.
Yeah.
Good. 1988. How was the first one?
Belting.
Yeah.
Absolutely belting. I drank it at
I noticed you didn't open it with me.
I did.
Did you?
You don't remember this night? we went to dinner at Bistro Rex. You know.
Oh, no. Sorry. With
AJ. Yeah, I did open it with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Clearly made an impression. It was incredibly, it looked about this colour, which is so nuts. But this wine has an insane reputation for having just an unreasonable long life.
What makes this special?
So this is the oldest Pinot Meunier vines on the planet. They were planted pre-phylloxera in a very, very famous, very special vineyard known as the Best Nursery Block in 1867. The following year, they planted only 15 rows of Pinot Meunier, which they called Miller's Burgundy back then. Because it basically looks like Pinot Noir on the vine, except the leaves have this little bit of white powder. So Miller's Burgundy, like a baker sort of thing. So they planted that in 1868. Now, then you have phylloxera come through Europe and wipe out most of the Pinot Meunier in Champagne, which is predominantly where it's grown. And so now we're stuck with the oldest vines in the world in this tiny little patch. And it's very, very precious. The first vintage of this that, those wow wines, you're like, oh shit, I get it. Oh my God, I get it. There was 2011 Best Old Vine Meunier for me. Ben Thompson was in for a tasting. I was starting to find my feet in wine, and then it's a really wet, cool, kind of super funky vintage of that wine. It's a bit arms and legs. It looked pretty weird at the time, but I was like, this, even in a cool wet vintage, this thing has so much character. The 21 is actually a really special vintage. It's not dissimilar.
Vintage.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar to 11. It's
not as wet.
It's not as wet, but it's still cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I just, I buy this wine every single year without fail. We're tasting my two favorite Australian wines in these three. So, so
that's cool. And I mean, it's just gorgeous to drink, isn't it? Very Pinot in shape and body, light, delicate. Really lovely hint of forest floor and mushroom and earthiness in this, which you don't often see from straight Pinot Meuniers, which tend to be a little poppier and pink fruited and playful.
So Pinot Meunier is more architectural than Pinot Noir, I would say. It's got slightly higher acid. The tannin can be a little bit more angular sometimes. But this 21 has started to soften out beautifully, hasn't it? How supple and sexy is it? So it always has this slightly meaty kind of bacon fatty sort of character to it, which I absolutely love as well. But the vast majority of
that is okay.
So good.
That's my best experience with that wine.
Yeah,
that's as good as I've seen to drink.
Better than the 88, apparently.
I reckon we'd had 800 beers by the time you opened that. It was a definite mistake to waste one of your bottles on that evening. I remember the night.
Yeah. In terms of on the international stage, mostly Pinot Meunier is the third leg of the Champagne Triangle. So you've got Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. This is, I would have to say, it's got to be the best table wine version of it on the planet, right? Who else makes a version as good as this with the longevity it's got and the history that it's got? So there's basically none of it. Like 15 rows that are like 150 years old. Like there's
We get a couple boxes a year if we're lucky.
mate. And how much do I put on the website? None. It goes to my cellar.
But hey, if you lovely people at home are interested in allocation, please join our mailing list.
I absolutely adore this wine. If you ever find it anywhere on the shelf, somehow, some way, buy a bottle because you're drinking legitimately a piece of Australian wine history. And you're going to absolutely love it.
170 years. Oh, amazing. All right, Wade, I forgive you for ditching the Pinot. Let's keep rolling. All right. Red wine number 2. What do we got?
Red wine number 2. There's a bit of it.
Please.
Yeah, I got it.
Continue.
Okay. So there's a bit of a theme here. We're going like sort of old school icons, modern icons like Grosset, Tyrrell's, Bess, Giaconda.
Like, good point.
Yeah. So we're going to go Shiraz next.
Yeah.
For what I think is the ultimate modern icon of Australian Shiraz.
And you had to go Shiraz in this lineup, wouldn't you? You can't go to Australian icons lineup for 6 wines without Shiraz.
No. I may on... yeah. No, we have... if you're doing iconic Australian wines, you have to put a Shiraz on the bench. And if you're doing the best modern examples, you're doing Clonakilla. So this is the 2013.
Oh, you did 13 as well.
13.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
So 13, so we got the same. There you go.
2013 Clonakilla Shiraz Viognier.
Of course, that was also you just paying homage to the founding of different drops.
That really wasn't it. I just wanted a good old bottle. And this is a particularly belting vintage, and I thought, all right, I'll try my luck and hopefully this stacks up. Which it does. I tasted it earlier and it looks amazing. So, the Clonakilla story is basically John Kirk founded Clonakilla, which is just in Murrumbateman, just outside of Canberra. His son, Tim Kirk, went to Côte-Rôtie in 1991. Tim went on a bit of a pilgrimage to sort of check out the great Shiraz wines in France. Wandered all the way up Northern Rhone and got basically to the pointy end of Côte-Rôtie. And saw these beautiful, elegant, spicy, floral French expressions, which are Shiraz with a little splash of Viognier. And he's like, I reckon we could do this in Australia. No one's doing it in Australia. Cool climate Shiraz is not a thing in Australia yet. It's just hardcore Barossa, Clare Valley, McLaren Vale. Like, that's what people want. They want thumping, big, powerhouse Shiraz. So he comes back and he makes 300 bottles of the first vintage, right. I think in like 92, something like that. I'm getting this pretty close. Anyway, it's close enough for country. And then, within about 5 years, it starts to pick up this amazing press of being like, have you tasted the Clonakilla Shiraz Viognier? This is the very model of a modern Australian Shiraz. And this is what the new sort of archetype for the next generation of Australian Shiraz makers will be.
I love that you chose this wine.
Yes.
Because there are other examples. I mean, Hill of Grace would have been a good one.
Yep.
An expensive one.
Yeah.
But Hill of Grace would have been great. There's some fantastic, historic, iconic Australian Shiraz from Barossa, from McLaren Vale, from other warmer regions. And I love that you chose this because to me, it's a modern icon.
It is.
The Taylor Swift. No, I just...
If you say Taylor Swift again...
No. But this is our recent history. This is the last 30 years, and importantly, it's the future of Shiraz in this country, which is, it's getting warmer, looking to cooler places where you can retain freshness, balance, perfume, all the things that make Shiraz so beautiful.
And how inspiring was it going to Clonakilla? Was it late last year? I think it was late last year. And so we wandered around for a couple of hours with Tim and tasted all the new barrels for the 2024 vintage. All of the barrels. It was phenomenal. And so this is but what you get is the specificity in what he loves about the vineyard. So he knows every individual parcel so minutely. Everything is broken down into this particular block is this barrel here. He pieces this wine together.
That provides a bit of perfume. That provides a little bit more power. That provides a little bit more meatiness. And he knows it inside out, doesn't he?
And he's got this beautiful, amazing voice. So when he talks about it, it's almost like orchestral, you know. He's like, there's my bass notes, there's the timbre, and he's a muso as well. If you've never seen Tim play guitar, he actually shreds. Yeah. So
and this looks great. This 2013. I mean, it's how elegant, cool climate Syrah ages. So it goes to this real lovely, meaty, savoury kind of place.
Not dissimilar from like aged Pinot, where you get that mushroomy, truffly sort of character. There's still some beautiful red fruit and floral tones there. It's still got, I reckon, you know, you probably got 5, maybe 8
This is
years.
a great place to drink this.
Yeah, that's kind of spot on.
Yeah. No, I agree. Wow, mate. Well, Syrah, I love that you chose that. We've got one more wine to go. Should we jump in? Mm-hmm. Surely a Grenache, I'd imagine. Oldest Grenache vines in the world.
It's not a Grenache, no.
Shut up! It's not a Grenache.
No. All right.
That's not pretty.
It's good. It's good. It's good. Trust me.
All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. So I'm disappointed we're not doing a Grenache,
No Grenache, Tom.
but I understand because I know what's coming up and it's pretty fucking sick.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. All right. We are going for
Our last red wine.
our final red wine. Not our final wine, perhaps. Ooh. But our final red wine is the 2002,
22.
2022,
22.
Thank you, Richie Benno. This is the 2022 Mount Mary Quintet. So, is this Australia's greatest Cabernet? I think so. This is the wine that I buy every single year, not dissimilar from Bess. Founded in 19...
No wonder you're always complaining about being broke.
I know. But why do all the good wines cost so much money, Tom?
I know.
Founded in 1971 by Dr. John Middleton. This is like kind of just when the modern Yarra Valley is kicking off. So there's like a really old, 100-plus-year-old viticultural history in the Yarra Valley, but basically all the vines were like ripped out.
Bro, this looks so great. Oh my gosh.
Right. So there's the Holy Trinity, I think, of like Yarra Valley Cabernet, which is Mount Mary, Yarra Yering, and Yeringberg. They're all kind of in the similar sort of area. But this, for me, because it's probably the most supple, elegant, and sort of, I don't want to say effeminate, but like, it's the most...
Don't say it.
I won't say it.
I mean, you've said it now.
I did. I fucking
You gotta get us cancelled.
Okay, let's go with, this is the most ethereal version of Yarra Valley Cabernet that I know of. So it's all 5 Bordeaux varieties.
I have an interesting story actually about that.
Tell me.
So I was chatting to Sam Middleton the other day, my weekly catch up with Sam. No, and he was actually telling me that, so this was originally called Cabernets, this one.
Yeah.
So it was originally a blend of about 50% Cabernet, 25% Merlot, and then the rest made up of Cabernet Franc and Malbec and Petit Verdot. But then there was, I think it's back in the 70s then, late 70s, there was a rule put in place that that Merlot couldn't be classified as part of the Cabernet family, and they weren't legally allowed to call it Cabernets anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Which is ironic now, because things get called Cabernets with fucking whatever in it.
Yeah, no one cares.
It could be Narrow Avila. So yeah, it's a Cabernet.
Yeah.
It's all right. John, Sam Middleton, the current winemaker, his grandfather John, who founded Mount Mary, trademarked Quintet for the 5 varieties that are in the wine, and of course it's been known as such ever since.
It's amazing.
I said to Sam, you need to re-release a Cabernets, little light, crunchy, kind of Loire Valley inspired little blend.
No, just keep making Quintet.
Think about the customer, mate.
Yes. Okay.
50 a bottle, maybe 30 a bottle. Hey, I'm just saying, guys. Sam, you're listening. 30 a bottle, little Cabernet Franc, splash of Merlot.
What is interesting is that
Shiraz.
Perhaps the future of Mount Mary isn't actually Cabernet. I mean, I'm sure it'll always be there, but it's like all these experiments that Sam's doing with Rhone varieties as the valley floor sort of heats up. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But for now, this is absolutely in its sweet spot. So this is, if you don't understand why Cabernet is king, you have to taste Mount Mary Quintet at least once in your life. It's regal. I mean, it feels like you've just draped yourself in a fucking emperor's robe.
Yeah, but like a finely woven emperor's robe. Not like a big, heavy, clunky emperor's robe. Like more of like if an emperor lived kind of by the water somewhere and it was quite hot, or in the desert, and they needed like a really fine robe.
And the emperor wore no clothes.
They're, you know, because the thing about this is it's simultaneously so light on its feet as well, right?
That's it. Yeah.
It's so balanced and so elegant and so effortless. It doesn't have the big chunky tannin. This is 2022. This is current vintage Mount Mary. Yep. This is not an old wine. And it doesn't have any of those big chunky Cabernet tannins you see from other parts of Australia and other parts of the world for that matter. It feels distinctly kind of old world in its structure, but with all this Australian sunshine and brightness in it. It's just remarkable.
It's so good, man. Like I know, like so many winemakers dearly love this wine. And Mac Forbes, I think, I might be misquoting him, but I'm pretty sure he thinks the greatest Australian red wine he's ever tasted is the 1990 Quintet.
Oh, you're right.
I think I'm right. Mac. I'm pretty sure I'm right. You know, it's everything that's awesome about Australian wine with one single family, one single block of land, a really crazy idea back in the 70s when this was Yarra Valley Cabernet, Yarra Valley wine wasn't a thing. This is what iconic Australian wine is. It's these great stories and these super limited, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous bottles of wine.
No, well put, Wade. And yeah, this sense of adventure and innovation that's been at the heart of Australian wine, you know, for forever, combined with the incredible natural resources that we have in this country that provide this beautiful, bright fruit in a glass. That's just wonderful. I love that. You're definitely more of a Cabernet aficionado than what I am. I don't drink a great deal of Cabernet, but I would have that any day of the week. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wine.
It's beautiful today. It'll be beautiful in 10 years. It'll be beautiful in 20 years.
I still reckon you probably should have picked a Grenache.
No!
I'm just joking.
Maybe if we do this same tasting again in 10 years, then a Grenache will definitely be on the table. But right now, the icons of Australian wine are, I think, you know, there's probably half a dozen that I didn't pick. But if I'm going to pick three, I think I'm happy with my three.
I'm very happy. I think we've done well, mate. What an amazing lineup of wine. We do have one small surprise.
We do.
We advertised 6 bottles, but ladies and gentlemen, we're coming in hot with the 7th special bottle to finish our icons tasting. Should we do it? Should we do it?
Oh, yeah.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's fucking do it.
Alrighty. Oh my God.
Okay.
What a mind-bending tasting this has been.
Epic. Epic is the word.
All-time epic. I think we retire the channel.
This is it. This is our...
Could it get any better?
No, this is our last ever video.
It's the last ever video. But could it get better? Well, maybe it can get a bit better.
We could finish.
Maybe we've got a surprise wave.
Maybe we have a surprise, Tom.
Okay, we have a surprise. we have a surprise. It's a really good surprise. Whatever. The
100-year Paraliqueur from Seppeltsfield.
Oh, fuck. Looking for this?
It's such a bad bit. All right, yes.
We rehearsed that one for ages, by the way, so... how amazing. 100 years for one of the worst jokes of all time. I'm sure it's never been made before.
Okay,
so this usually goes in there and sits quite beautifully, doesn't it? So
it does.
Mate, this is probably arguably the most special wine in Australia.
Yes, correct.
Like is that a fair comment? I mean,
I would say it's not over the top to say that this is one of the rarest and most historic wines on the planet. And definitely one of Australia's most important. It definitely captures, it captures 100 years of history, which is like a completely unique thing in the world of wine. And we're going to open, what?
Do you drink many 100-year-old bottles?
I have actually had this, I think I've had this 3 times.
Yeah.
Not this vintage.
No, I've only tried them once, but I've got a full bottle at home, you know.
You do? That's right.
Yeah. Friends in high places.
Yes. Yes, you didn't buy it.
No, I certainly didn't buy it.
All right.
No, so I'm not going to open this.
I'll
you
do
know
it.
my bottle opening game is rubbish.
Yeah, it is.
I open like a savage. Open bottles like a savage. So
I'm kind of
gonna-
sweating on this.
I'm going to
though,
task you do it the shaky hands. I'm going to task you to open this up, and please don't fuck it up, Wade.
Jesus, Tom.
100 years.
Shut up.
There's like 1,000 bottles.
Oh my god.
The world's watching, mate.
No, shut up. Just let me do this because if I screw it up.
So, bit of background. So, Seppeltsfield, Barossa Valley, incredibly historic estate, founded by Joseph, I believe, Seppelt back in about 1850. His son, Benno Seppelt, took over in the 60s, in the 1860s, and had the initiative back then to start this century vintage Tawny project of laying down a small amount, one barrel at a time back then, each and every year, with the instructions to open this wine at 100 years old. The very first time it was laid down was 1878. How you going there, mate?
I think I'm almost there. I'm just terrified of this bottle.
I'll just keep going.
Look at it. That's like a little hand grenade of fucking 100-year-old deliciousness.
You're doing a really good job.
I'm totally butchering this, but anyway.
I'm proud of you, Wayne. 1878 was the very first time this was laid down. It's a blend of varieties, mate.
Shiraz, Grenache, Mataro.
Your classic GSM.
It's an SGM-ish, GSM-ish thing. They don't know what this vintage was.
Yeah.
Sometimes they keep the actual blend in the notes, in the winemaking notes, but not this year.
And to those that think, oh, God, that's funny because we drink, Shiraz, Grenache, Mataro blends now. It's no coincidence. Like, these varieties were planted. Don't get a head start. Dude. These varieties... These varieties were planted for fortified production, which is why we have all these old vineyards that we've now realised, hey, shit, these make pretty great table wines as well. But there were some with the foresight, like Mr. Benno Seppelt, to invest in the future, to think about his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and say, we're going to lay this down in 1878, and we're not going to, no one's going to touch it for a century. So the very first, and did every year subsequently after that. So the very first release of this was in 1978. And this is the 48th consecutive release since then, which is amazing. It's the only wine of its kind in the world. Yeah, so for most of the time, they've only ever laid down one barrel. Just keep your hands still.
It's like, if I knock this over, man. So this little 100ml hand grenade is $1,800. I think that's right, isn't it?
Thereabouts,
yeah. So for most of that time, it was just one barrel at a time that they were laying down. Then around the 70s, they started laying down 4 barrels, and now they lay down about 8 barrels a year. So that stockpile is sort of growing. But these old ones, like for the next sort of 50 years, I guess, for the next 50 years, those stocks are very, very tiny. This vintage, there was one 500-litre barrel laid down, and over the years, it's been reduced down to basically 150 litres, which is available for this release.
Yep, so you got 100 mils, so what's that, 1,500 of these tiny bottles only in existence.
For the whole world.
In the world, from 1925. What were you doing in 1925, huh?
I was prepping for the release of The Great Gatsby.
I was prepping for the release of Mein Kampf. It was released in 1925 as well. I'm a much bigger fan of the Great...
You brought up Mein Kampf. I did the research too, and I saw that, and I was like, I'm not bringing up Hitler in this video.
Oh, Mussolini, he was going good there too. So, no, forgetting about the evil dictators, but Great Gatsby was good. The first television transmission.
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of good stuff.
Man, 100 years ago. I mean, like, the shit that this wine has seen is pretty crazy, and it was
Don Bradman was dominating junior cricket in New South Wales.
It's just a very, very different world. Can you pour it? Because I can't pour it, because I am actually kind of shaking with it here, which is just insane.
Right, now, he said we could just split this, didn't he?
We should have just got...
I got to give a special shout out to the wonderful people at Seppeltsfield,
yes,
who chose not to press charges when we stole this bottle from this. Who very kindly on their whirlwind tour of Sydney dropped in and let us utilise this bottle for our own ridiculous enjoyment. All right, here we go.
Okay, so look at this. Look at that. Look at how it's...
That's a bit stingy, Tom. Come on.
Oh my God. Okay, so over 100 years, what you get is just an incredible, ridiculous concentration of flavors. So, I mean, there's already been half a dozen like world-renowned critics review this release, the 1925, and like some of the superlatives in there are like, this might be the greatest thing you ever put in your mouth. Or
How many points did Nick Ryan give it?
all of them.
That was what he said, wasn't it?
It's like,
Points, all of them.
yeah, it's like, it is kind of silly.
Who gave it? Someone gave it 99.
Yeah.
One ticket. Who was that?
I don't know, but I don't know what they're saving themselves for.
No.
It's like, just get amongst it, mate.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Obviously, the history is one thing, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of very historic wines, but to have that history and something that tastes unlike anything else is what makes this wine so magical. Look how much it stains the glass.
whoa.
Look at that.
So it's really intense. But the thing is about this wine, the first time I tasted this was probably like 3 years ago, I mean, 22 or something like that.
I'm going to put the lid back on.
Put the lid on, please, yes. And I heard, I'm not going to claim this tasting note, but someone just said to me, it tastes like everything. And that's all I can ever think about this wine.
Don't get like watermelons or anything.
But it starts at like high-toned, candied sort of citrus. It's got this beautiful like high-toned aromatic there. So like a little bit of volatility lift, which helps it just jump out of the glass. But then it just runs the
Really
full
lots of florals,
Yeah.
Like dried fruits and dried spices and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Spice
because-
cabinet kind of feel to it.
Because then it moves through the full spectrum of like caramel toffee, through like dates, figs, that sort of thing, until you get to like coffee and like, you know,
real like.
yeah. So
But I know what you mean. I haven't tasted it yet. I'm almost scared to taste it. But aromatically, looks quite bright and lifted, doesn't it? Looks quite youthful. Dude.
that is the sexiest juice. Oh,
Wow.
just over some ice cream.
It's a Rolls Royce, isn't it? It's a Rolls Royce and a Ferrari and a little Honda Jazz.
Yeah.
All blazed into one.
So I was seeing, like, because obviously there aren't many people who are experts in these wines, but the winemaker,
Fiona
Vowell, yeah, she was saying that this is actually like, because she's the one who's the custodian of these barrels now, and she goes through and tastes them, and she's like barreling them down. So if there's a 500 litre barrel and they've got, you know, a couple of hundred litres left, she'll move it into a 300 litre barrel or something to just try and preserve these stocks. But so she gets to taste of each and every year. She's saying this is like, you wouldn't think that there is vintage variation in a wine like this. Like, you would think that even the style and just the amount of time would mean they all kind of taste a bit the same. But she's like, this is a uniquely great vintage of this 100-year-old project, which is unique in the world. So,
No, 25, great year.
yeah, 1925. It's just a belter of a vintage, yeah.
I mean, I've been messaging some of our winemaker mates the last few days, like, hey, how's vintage 25 treating you? I'm pretty sure most of them are referring to 2025. So, you text Fiona, she's like, oh yeah, the 1925 is great.
Unreal.
No, this is really something else. It's been on quite a journey over its life too, because it's had lots of different owners at Seppeltsfield. You know, Treasury took over in the 70s from the Seppelt family.
Yep.
I mean, did their best, obviously, but you know, a huge corporate beast and took it in a different direction. Warren Randall purchasing Seppeltsfield back in the late 2000s, or in 2009,
Something like that.
Warren being a very passionate, experienced wine lover, actually worked at Seppeltsfield as a junior winemaker.
Yeah, I know, which is very cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And has really returned this incredible estate to where it should be. The table wines are going really well, but making this to be the national treasure that it should. He's been bringing in the great grandchildren of Benno Seppelt and Jesse Seppelt to get involved.
So
It's
cool.
just so cool.
So yeah, we don't have we don't have the length of history in winemaking that there is in Europe, but this is our Australian wine history bottled, which is just really remarkable and just an absolute pleasure to taste.
It's magical, isn't it? I don't have the words to describe the wine.
No, me neither. But
It is. I mean, the one thing it tastes like everything is apt. It just totally overwhelms your senses. And aromatically, the power, the viscosity, it just coats the entire palate. It just keeps going, and there's just layers and layers and layers of fruit and spice and secondary characters.
Honey lift, and then it's like the best toffee you've ever had in your life, and then like someone made the best espresso and put that with it, and then melted that over like some like other delicious thing that is it's all of the best things smashed into one thing.
Yeah, it's something else, isn't it? How lucky are we to taste this?
Unreal. So,
and how lucky might you be for just $2,000 for 100 mil?
I absolutely love Nick Ryan's writing, obviously, but he had one line in his review this year, which is, he said that this is the wine in the world that is most licked off a finger because of the way it sticks to the glass.
I've already done it. Taste it.
And so you're not going to get all of it unless you really get in there.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'm going in. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
What a fucking amazing tasting, and what a way to finish.
Epic. Unreal. You're drinking... I'm sitting on this.
Wow. How's that?
Nice one.
All right, guys. We're done. We're retired.
That's it.
It's been fun. That's Australian wine in a nutshell for you. That's just the best and the best of the best. There's really nowhere else to go from here, mate.
I actually think we've burned like a year's worth of content.
It's better get shitloads of views because there's literally nothing else to talk about.
I know.
Apart from that, we'll have to start doing Europeans, the best European ones, I guess.
Sounds good.
Sounds expensive.
Sounds expensive.
Hey, guys, please, I'd love your comments. Have you ever tasted the 100-year Para? Have you tasted the other Seppeltsfield wines? Have you visited the incredible Centenary cellar there? What an amazing experience. Yes. Your thoughts on all the other incredible wines we've opened today. We'd love to know your icons, your monuments of Australian wine, and if you agree or disagree with our selections. And, I think that it shows what an incredible place Australian wine is in to see these wines and the history and the diversity.
I love that someone's looking after this as well. Like someone's taking care of this heritage. Like
we'll look after this.
I don't think we'll.
I think he's waiting for us out the other side of the door.
Poor bloke. What a legend for bringing it along.
Go you, Simon. All right, guys. Cheers. Amazing. Fuck me. So good. All right.
Thank you.
See ya.